Hey, Quants, just a real quick one on the charts again today. We've been tracking the spring equinox recently, and I have a number of the dates marked up on the chart that we've been following, expecting some type of a rally. However, I also went through and checked these dates with midterm dates, and we'll take a look at those. So we're going to do a little bit deeper analysis than on Bitcoin than what I typically do. But for now, I just want to point out that the current price looks like we might be getting a bounce. If you were playing the failure point that I called out originally, then that trade is already closed and there's no more, nothing else to do there, except for potentially wait for another trade. Right now, we do have a potential bounce play still coming off of what looks like could be a diagonal support line. I've seen a few different variations of the diagonal support line. I've drawn mine probably a little closer than a lot of people. I've seen them drawing them kind of right here on this the previous kind of low that we've had this bear cycle. However, I've drawn mine out a little bit farther. These three lines connect, which I think just tends to look a little bit better. We'll see if it provides a little bit more confluence as that goes. However, in the context of expecting a short-term tactical trade or a bounce play, we did get a bounce right off of that line. And so it would be look good if we get some more continuation there. We do have the MA on the MACD pointing up. And then we also potentially are going to get another green histogram if we close where we are today or a little bit higher. Stochastics are down, so we need those to turn around to get the confluence of those. So with that said, I will go into some of the more historical data now, and all I will say about that right now is that it doesn't show promising outcome in terms of a tactical bounce for Bitcoin with some of the trades. But with that said, it looks like this one might have failed already, as I mentioned before. If we're using this horizontal support, that would probably be your last area to get out if you are still in position. And the last thing that I wanted to mention, actually, just in terms of the 2-day Gann swing indicator, we are still positioned up, right? And so if we can get a couple of days pointing up here, this potentially could give you a nice opportunity to manage your trades. If you are looking, if you've already taken a position or you've taken a position around here, if you waited for the last breakout, you're still kind of far away, but it's a little bit closer than here. So you might be looking to raise that stop a little bit just to protect a little bit of capital if it ultimately does turn down. But again, in the context of the short-term tactical trade, you might want to trail those stops a little bit closer. So let's go ahead and take a look at the previous midterm years. I didn't go to and look at all the spring equinox years. In this one, I'm just looking at the midterm years. Since we are currently in a midterm year, I think that is going to be the most relevant. And I don't have focus on the window. That is why I'm not getting the chart to zoom the way that I want. So this is looking at the 2022 spring equinox. This one worked out nicely for a decent trade opportunity. And so this was the spring equinox. Not saying that the date is the only date. I've mentioned a few times that you expect some, in the context of Gann, looking at the important dates for the spring equinox and the solstice time frames. So 4 times out of the year, those will occur. You can look for an opportunity for a trade there. And so if I just took this to the bottom, that's probably not where let's just assume we're going to take it on the day, on the close of the day, which again isn't necessarily where you manage that trade, but that one would have been a 16.8% trade, so not too bad there. If we go and look at the other ones, those would have been failures. And so here again, if you would have entered on the spring equinox, you basically sat flat. There's nothing to measure to the upside there because there was no exit point other than getting out of the trade. And so this would have ultimately ended up in a loss. I just wanted to point that out. I did also mention that the trade, let's see, so this can lead into the into May 6-ish time frame. Again, if you're following me on X, I put a little bit more details in there. And so if you would have held on to this trade out into May 6th, would have been about the last time you want to have been holding on to those positions. You could have ultimately got out in profit on that position. However, you would have had to take quite a bit of downside, and I don't think there's not really a good way to have managed this position that low other than maybe this previous swing low here. So I would just chalk this one up as a loss unless you're only trading time frames, or trading time, not time frames. And so let's go ahead and take a look at the last one here. So this is the last one that we have data for, or good data for the Equinox, is on the, again, March 20th, but 2014. And again, same concept here. You ultimately don't, in the short term, you don't get any opportunity to take profit. This one is basically a loss. Probably would have wanted to use one of these closes or one of these wicks, maybe just a little bit below there. And that would have been your opportunity to exit. However, again, if you played this out, yeah, see, even playing out to the 5th on this one would not, or 6th, wouldn't have really worked out in your favor. You could have held onto the position, but you're getting such a small amount of profit for how much you were giving up here. I don't think that's a valid trade to consider there. So I just wanted to go ahead and show those ones since I've been covering those, and I've been posting some different statistics on X. If you follow me over there, you'll be able to get that information. And then I wanted to throw in this horizontal line since I've seen, or not this diagonal support line, since I've seen some people following that. So I think that's a good way to potentially manage risk if you're taking a trade at this point. So that's going to be it for today, and we will catch you on the next one. Peace, quants.